Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are taking a really fascinating journey through time to uncover how the 250-year-old vision of George Washington actually holds the blueprint for solving our modern energy crisis. It's an incredible story of history, of innovation, and ultimately how local communities can seize technological sovereignty to protect their own power grid. So, as the United States rapidly gears up for its 250th anniversary, we're staring down this massive, unprecedented challenge. Our centralized power grid is just under immense strain right now. But what if I told you the solution to all of this is actually deeply rooted in our founding ideals? By looking back at the resourcefulness of our nation's early days, we find this surprisingly modern strategy for long-term energy sovereignty. Let's actually jump right into it. Picture this, it's the 1750s, and a young 21-year-old George Washington is out mapping the Ohio River Valley. He recognized the immense potential of this land, but he couldn't possibly have known that right beneath his feet lay billions of tons of coal, oil, and natural gas. These were the very fossil fuels that would later ignite the American Industrial Revolution and, build the nation we recognize today. When you trace this historical thread, it's pretty mind-blowing. We start back in the 1750s with Washington's surveys. Then, fast forward to 1878, and the pioneer Haymaker gas well in Murraysville, Pennsylvania, erupts, literally venting massive amounts of methane into the sky for years. And that brings us right to the present day, as we approach 2026 and our 250th anniversary, dealing with the heavy climate consequences of that exact same fossil fuel legacy. Because here's the thing, those fossil fuels extracted from these seminal sites, they kicked off a severe and undeniable climate feedback loop. It's a direct chain reaction. Burning these fuels dramatically increases CO2 and methane in our atmosphere. That excess heat drives way more frequent, intense storms, which physically tear down our local trees and power lines, and that ultimately leads to massive power outages and incredibly expensive grid repairs. Repairs that, by the way, we all end up paying for. And that brings us to today. Our centralized grid, which was honestly built for the much more predictable weather patterns of the 20th century, is buckling. It's caught right between the physical destruction of climate-driven weather and this massive, explosive new electricity demand from hyperscale AI data centers. These tech facilities pull staggering amounts of power, creating these steep daily spikes in energy use that the old grid just wasn't designed to handle. To deal with these sudden spikes in peak demand, the traditional utility response is, frankly, staggeringly expensive. For example, regional grid operators like PJM Interconnection have recently approved sweeping transmission upgrade plans costing $5 billion. And guess who pays for these massive centralized infrastructure upgrades? Everyday ratepayers through much higher monthly electric bills. So the crucial point here is understanding our options. Relying on a centralized grid means we're firing up expensive gas peaker plants or waiting 4 to 6 years for backlogged gas turbines because of global supply chain delays. But a decentralized grid? That generates power right on your roof or your balcony. It completely eliminates the energy lost when electricity is transmitted over hundreds of miles of lines, avoids those crazy expensive centralized upgrades, and makes electricity cheaper and more resilient for absolutely everyone. Section 1. Taming the Roarer, the Westinghouse analogy. To really wrap our heads around the power of decentralized edge control, we need to look at another historic George, the brilliant inventor George Westinghouse. Back in 1878, that Haymaker gas well blowout I mentioned earlier was actually known as the Murraysville Roarer. It was this chaotic, dangerous, totally untamed monster of high-pressure natural gas. You couldn't just pipe that into a home, it would literally explode. So Westinghouse stepped in and tamed this chaos by inventing the mechanical pressure reduction valve, or regulator. He stepped the pressure down right at the edge of the network so it could be consumed safely. And later, he perfectly mirrored this exact concept to step down high-voltage electricity using the AC transformer. He stepped the pressure down right at the edge of the network so it can be consumed safely. And later, he perfectly married this exact concept to step down high-voltage electricity using the AC transformer. And this brilliantly illustrates where history meets our modern digital age. Because the exact modern equivalent to Westinghouse's mechanical regulator is the hybrid inverter. Working alongside a smart home battery, the hybrid inverter acts as this highly intelligent traffic cop. It safely steps down and manages the flow of solar energy, deciding second by second whether to store that power for your family or dispatch it to support a struggling grid. Section 2. The virtual power plant. By networking thousands of these individual hybrid inverters together, everyday residents can shift from just being passive consumers to being active participants in grid management. And the math here is incredibly empowering. It only takes 6,000 volunteer residential properties equipped with solar and smart batteries to inject 15 megawatts of clean, dispatchable power into the local grid. That localized injection is enough to completely neutralize the peak grid stress caused by those massive new AI data centers during the most critical hours of the day. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What if a storm hits and the grid drained my battery? Well, don't worry. This system is brilliantly designed. Out of a standard 10 kilowatt hour battery, the system automatically reserves a strict 20% buffer. That's 2 kilowatt hours that the grid can literally never touch. It absolutely guarantees your personal household power for refrigeration and Wi-Fi during severe weather, giving you total peace of mind. Section 3. Democratizing Power, Balcony Solar. But what if you rent your apartment? Or maybe your roof is completely shaded by these beautiful old-growth trees. Well, true energy sovereignty means everyone gets to participate. You do not need a sprawling roof or a massive budget. Enter plug-in balcony solar. These are highly accessible portable solar kits that generate anywhere from 300 to 800 watts. You simply secure the lightweight panels to a balcony railing or patio and plug them directly into a standard outdoor wall outlet. A built-in microinverter safely feeds that power straight into your home to instantly start offsetting your daily utility bill. And the benefits here just ripple outward. When even a fraction of residents in a single neighborhood install these kits or rooftop solar, it creates a powerful local network. Because you're generating power exactly where it is used, it completely bypasses those distribution losses. This shaves local peak demand, it actually helps power neighboring homes that don't even have solar, and it saves the utility from having to perform multi-million-dollar transformer upgrades. It is literally neighbors providing for neighbors. Section 4. Washington's Philosophy, Founding Resilience. This entire open-source, citizen-led infrastructure beautifully reflects George Washington's own historical use of decentralized power. Back in the 1770s, Washington harnessed the continuous flow of local creeks for his grist mills, basically relying on edge energy for local resilience. And he championed a brilliant concept to match self-interest properly understood. He believed that when citizens act out of enlightened self-love, they invariably end up supporting the common good. By purchasing a home battery or a balcony solar kit to protect your own family from rate hikes and power outages, you and your neighbors collectively form a hardened, distributed infrastructure that defends the entire nation way better than any centralized plant ever could. Section 5. Biking through climate change. So if you are as fascinated as I am by these deep connections between our nation's founding, our fossil fuel legacy, and modern climate action, you absolutely must visit the blog Biking Through Climate Change. On the blog, you can physically follow George Washington's original trails, just like the ones mapped out in his own journals, by riding the Appalachian Rail Trails. You can view the seminal fossil fuel extraction sites that literally birthed the industrial age and see the real-time impacts of our changing climate on the forests firsthand. Because biking through climate change doesn't just teach history, it provides an incredible guide for taking action. It shows you exactly how to offset your own emissions by bicycling these historic paths, and it teaches you how to go even further by implementing solar technology so you can achieve truly free, sovereign energy for your own household. As we get ready to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States, the ultimate question remains: will you embrace local resilience to tame this wild modern grid? Will you take that final pedal stroke toward climate action and secure a truly independent energy future for all the generations that will ride these trails long after us? The technology is here right now, just waiting for us to use it.